Hi, friends! Welcome to Bookish Bliss, our virtual book club. Every week, we will dig into a section of chapters in our favorite books. Let's get started!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 37 of Bookish Bliss. We have a lot to discuss today.
Yes, this week we are covering chapters 33 to 39 of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. There will be spoilers since we will be discussing the entire book. So at this point, you do have to read the whole book to listen.
Yes.
How are we here?
How? It went by so fast.
It went by incredibly fast.
And so much information in every single section. Crazy.
It honestly is the most information we've done on any book, and it's all the time.
But also, epic ending that I can't wait to talk about.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is such a fantastic book. Just reading it back, listening to it back while we've been recording. It's just been a great time.
Yeah, it's been so fun too because we both already have read Iron Flame. And we're like, oh my God, this could mean this and this could mean this. So I cannot wait to get to Iron Flame and be able to say everything that we've been thinking this whole time.
Yeah, and honestly, it is kind of nice that we've both read these books because doing ACOTAR and all of that series where only I have read it and had to keep things from you is just incredibly difficult because we talk so much all the time.
I know.
So it's been kind of nice to not have to hold back on things that I want to say too.
Yeah.
So that has been a lot more fun for me, I would say, this time. But this has definitely been more exhausting to do this book because there is just so much information. You're never really having a moment where it's just like, la, la, la.
Yeah. No, it's something important is happening. You have to pay attention.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And we've read it once before. We read it now, and I listened to the graphic audio. And even today, I was looking at things going, oh my God, what the heck? So, anyways.
Yeah, I had to write that whole battle scene in chapter 36, so I'm like on top of my shit now. I know every little detail.
I know. Yeah, and then reading that today and then reading your notes and making sure I was adding in like character conversations that were super important. Yeah, I just feel like I know the battle by the back of my hand as well. So we're experts at this point.
Hell yeah.
Well, we won't keep on our tangent any longer and we'll continue forward. So, Amanda, darling, what are you drinking tonight?
Yes, darling, I am drinking LaCroix Orange again. No liquor this time, though, because I ran out of tequila. And I just realized before we started. So, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Diet Coke because I have spent the weekend doing auntie duties and it's been so much fun. Went to a pumpkin patch today with Charlotte and Cammie. And so it was so fun, but I'm going to need some energy and I don't want to drink hot coffee at, 8 o'clock at night. So a Diet Coke will have to do.
Sounds good.
Well, cheers to episode 37 and the end of our chapter by chapter episodes.
Cheers! End of Fourth Wing, baby.
Lovely.
Delicious. Now let's get started with the good stuff and break down Fourth Wing Part 5. Take it away, Megan.
All right. So this week is going to be a little bit different than my full summaries because there's just so much info that we need to take in. But last week I just missed talking before we started each chapter. So
I know it was weird to start the chapter. I'm not going to lie.
I had to say something. So we're picking up where we left off at the end of chapter 32, which is that Violet and Xaden get interrupted after having their sexy time. Everything is in chaos in the quadrant and nobody knows what the heck is going on, but they think war is happening. The words are falling. Something bad is going to happen. So chapter 33 is at the beginning of it. It's just like this tangled mess. And so I'm going to leave it there and we're going to see what happens.
Perfect. So the epigraph for chapter 33 is: the inability to control a powerful signet is just as dangerous to a rider and everyone in their vicinity as never manifesting one. And this is from Major Offendra's Guide to the Rider's Quadrant, the unauthorized edition.
Interesante
indeed. This has already kind of happened to someone, right? Because didn't someone freeze in Battle Brief and somebody next to them got frozen?
Yeah. Yep, Riddick got frostbite,
And
and then
Jeremiah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we've seen it a
Yeah.
couple times already.
Alright,
Yeah.
Violet and Xaden are rushing to get ready. They're, like, throwing on clothes. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's apparently a mandatory urgent formation for the entire quadrant. They assume the wards are falling, and Violet's thinking in this moment, how many Navarians will die?
Yeah, because Garrick is like, "I think there's a lot of people dying." So,
Yeah,
they're just like, "Yeah, the wards must be falling if this many people are dead."
literally.
So, it is currently 4:15 in the morning. Xaden and Violet have been up all night
Ooh,
having lots of fun,
round
so
after round after round after round.
no sleep for the wicked, but they are both arming themselves like to the T. And Xaden gives Violet one of his flight jackets so she doesn't freeze outside because she only came to his room in
In
a
her dress.
skirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zayden says if Garrick is right and they're under attack, they'll order older years to the Midgard post. So he'll be leaving Biscayeth if he's right.
Yeah. And he tells her not to worry. So the Gale will drag him back here in a few days, no matter what, because of Taryn.
Yeah.
Then he kisses her and he tells Violet wanting her will be the death of him. Because the school is in chaos, though, no one notices Violet slipping out of her wing leader's room, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
And no one also notices the touch of Zayden's hand against Violet's before he heads up to where the other leadership is standing.
Ooh, here comes all the PDA, baby.
Woo! It seems like everyone was having a good night. Even Liam's cheeks turn pink when Violet asks him about his evening.
Oh my God. Even Liam?
Everyone
Innocent
is
little
having
Liam?
fun. He is
Wow.
far from innocent. I would
I
have
know.
loved to have had a night with Liam.
Liam has made your book boyfriend list, apparently.
Yes. Yes.
Zayden's jacket on Violet does not get past Rhiannon, who notices it's huge on her and
Mhm.
has 3 stars with a wing leader emblem beneath them with a fourth wing shield on the shoulder. So she ain't stupid. She
Yeah.
knows.
Violet's trying to be like, "What do you mean?" And Rihanna just keeps being like, "Okay, and this. Okay, and this." And she's like,
Yeah.
"All right, shut up."
Multiple reasons.
Yeah, but Rihanna just wants to know if it was good. She's like, "I don't give a shit that you're wearing his jacket or
Good
where he
friend.
was. Like, how good was the sex?" Because she
Yeah.
knows all the sexual tension that these two have had for months. And
Yeah.
so Violet says it was so good she broke his window. And
Ooh!
now Zayden is just standing with leadership, all calm, cool, and collected.
Of course he is. A shadow daddy. Commandant Panchek, Colonel Atos, who's Jane's dad,
Mhm.
and the wing leaders take the dais. Zayden tells Violet through the bond, it's the fucking war games. There's actually no danger. Great. Dane looks at Rhiannon like she drank too much mead, which I guess is the alcohol equivalent.
Yes.
I'm assuming
I
mead.
think in old-timey days, they called when they'd go
Oh,
out
okay.
drinking, they would drink mead.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's
Okay.
like beer.
Nice. So they got wasted and had crazy sex with everybody.
Bas
Nice.
basically, so none of them are arrested.
Literally.
Dane tells the group that they've been training for this all year, so they need to wake the hell up. He's like, "Some of you may just be waking up, some of you may have never have gone to bed, but we have been training for this all year. This is when it counts. So we need to wake up."
Yeah.
And our girl Rhiannon has Violet's back. She literally leans against Violet to hide the patch on Violet's
Yes,
flight
she
jacket.
does.
So Dane doesn't see that Violet is wearing Zayden's jacket.
I love that about
Oh,
Rhiannon. She's such a good best
she
friend.
really is. I know you would do that for me too.
Oh, absolutely.
Same. I
I
would
would
do
be
it for
like,
anything for you, Amanda.
flip. Oh my God,
No, literally the other day I was like, "Well, if Amanda says, then it must be right." Like, I don't even need to hear what it is. Like, I don't even need to hear. If she said it, it's right.
well, I love that. So, the final event of War Games is here. The sounded alarm is similar to that of a real life attack to see how fast they would gather, and will continue the exercise. If the borders were simultaneously attacked and the wards faltered, they would all be called to reinforce the wings. Colonel Atos reads the scenarios with all the dramatics, of
Of
course, in his
course.
little theatrical little
Of
way.
course.
Of course, he does. Should I do it like
Yeah,
him?
you
Yeah.
should.
Okay. The wars they dedicated their lives defending are faltering, and there are multiple unexpected attacks along the borders, putting villages under siege from drifts of griffins. Mass casualties of infantry and civilians are already being reported, as are deaths of multiple riders. They are sending the wings in every direction. Fourth Wing is going to the southeast. Each squad will pick the post they will reinforce in that region. Choices are first come, first serve. Wing leaders, though, will be assigned to theirs for purposes of a headquarters for the exercise. Ooh, was that
Ooh.
dramatic enough?
That was so dramatic. I was like, I felt like I was ready to go to the war battles. I'm
I
ready.
have a headache.
Send me to my post. Send me.
I just got an adrenaline rush.
Woo, here we go.
So, Zayden will establish his headquarters at Athbine with his own choice of an HQ squad,
Ooh.
pulling from all riders in Fourth Wing. They are told to consider this a test of leadership as there are no limitations in real world scenarios.
Mhm.
They will receive updated orders once they get to their outposts, and this exercise is 5 days long.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
long time for a
that is a long
final
time.
part of war games.
Yeah. So we know about Athbine
Yes.
with Mira.
Yes.
And we know there's some fishy shit going on from the missive, too.
Yes.
Athbine keeps popping up. What the fuck's gonna happen? Well, we already know because we already read it, but
Yes.
some serious
Foreshadowing. I just also wanted to point out here that Colonel Atos's smile falters when
Mm,
he looks at Zayden and the hair rises on the back of Violet's neck. I felt like that was
that motherfucker.
important to add.
Absolutely. He is up to no good, that one.
Mhm.
Violet recalls that Athbine is beyond the wards and where Zayden flew his secret
There's
mission.
just so many talks about this post.
Yeah. Day makes the call to go to the outpost at Eltival, the northernmost post in their region. They have 30 minutes to change, get what they can carry for 5 days, and get to the flight field.
Yes.
No time to sleep,
No no
unfortunately.
time for sleep, maybe some coffee,
Yeah.
on the way to the flight field, but Violet heads to her own room and wraps her knee, her shoulder for a long flight. Then she puts on her own flight leathers. Also, it took our girl like almost 5 minutes to detangle
Mm.
her hair after her sex night with Zayden.
Woo! Damn. Okay, Violet.
Yeah, Zayden pops into Violet's head while she's getting ready, and he tells her to wear every dagger she owns, and she tells him she's already has 12 on her, and he tells her that she will see him on the flight field.
Every dragon in the quadrant fills the flight field at this time, and everyone is in the same formation as earlier. Hundreds of mage lights are hovering like stars, which it sounds so cool. It kind of reminds me of like a Harry Potter scene when they're all in the giant room where all at the tables with the candles.
Yeah, it's just dragons instead.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of wizards.
Yes. Rhiannon again is convinced that they are going to win, and she can taste her squad leader designation for next year.
Ooh.
Violet asks Liam if he has any plans, and he says, "We'll see." But Violet notes that Liam looks tense.
Interesting.
Hmm.
How about Rhiannon though? She's like, I want to be a squad leader.
Yeah.
She would be so good at
Yeah,
it.
she knows what she wants, and she's going to go out there and get it.
Perfect. I love that for her.
Mhm.
Taryn forces Kath to the side, even though Dane is in charge, technically, of this mission.
Yeah.
Which I love. He's like, absolutely not. Get over
Get out of the front spot.
it. And Darna is joining them for the mission. Yay.
Yay.
But if danger does present itself, she will hide, just like the last scenario.
Yeah, I just love the pep talk that Taryn is giving and Darna in this scene.
I know, me too.
He's like, "Golden
It's
one,
so
you are too shiny, so you will need to hide if danger comes." She's like, "Okay."
She's like, I don't care. I just get to come, so I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
Zayden also built a contraption to attach Andarna to Taryn if she can't keep up. Swoon!
Yeah, and also during this, Taryn keeps snapping at Kath to give him more room. Not only is he pushing him out of the
Literally.
way at the beginning, he keeps snapping at Kath. I guess all that practicing with Sigale and all of them did not help.
Yeah,
Old habits die hard.
apparently.
Zayden approaches their group, and Violet doesn't know how to say goodbye to him. And in front of all these people, and she's worried about their dragons, but Taryn assures her that all will be as it should.
Mhm.
Zayden tells Violet he needs her. and Dane looks like he's going to explode. Violet is like, he's just coming to say goodbye, but that is not what Xaden is here to do.
Oh, hell no. Xaden is constructing his headquarters squad and chooses Violet, of course, and Liam and Imogen to join.
Dane basically says, over my dead body, that Violet is a first year and Athbine is beyond the wards. But
Mm-hmm.
Dane is not making the same argument about Liam.
Of
But
course.
Dane knows that Liam is the best first year.
Hmm.
Zane encounters that Violet wields lightning, and he doesn't owe Dane an explanation, but he says that it'll be better for the dragons. Again, Dane loses his mind and says they haven't even tested how long their dragons can be apart for. He questions Zayden about Montserrat. Zayden says that Dane can ask the Gale himself if he would like.
Ugh, why? It's literally the last section of the book, Dane. Shut the fuck up. Ugh, God, I can't stand him.
Again, old habits die hard.
Yeah. Violet is thinking part of her will always see Sigale for what she is in this moment, which is a death sentence.
Literally.
She's scary,
She's
that
so
dragon.
scary. And Violet's
Yeah.
dragon is Taryn.
Literally.
Dane asks Violet not to go. That riders died during war games, and he feels like Violet would be safer with him. And Zayden's like, that's bullshit. This is an order. And
Yeah.
Dane is like, this may have been Zayden's plan all along to get her away from her squad so he can exact his revenge against Violet's mother.
What's your plan, Dane? What the fuck is your plan?
Dane wants to know if the whole if I die, you die thing is even real, or if Taryn would even die if something happened to her, or if this was all part of this huge game, this huge ploy. Xaden says that Violet is safer with him beyond the wards, and Dane knows it.
He better fucking know it.
Mm-hmm.
The look in Xaden's eyes is the same as Sigale's, and Violet knows why she chose him. They're both ruthless and willing to annihilate whatever stands between them and what they want.
Violet places her hands on Xaden's arms and tells him to stop. If he wants her to go with him, then she'll go. It's that simple. When
Mm-hmm.
Xaden looks at Violet, his eyes soften, and that is when Dane sees it. He's like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
He's like, you and you.
Yeah, are you joking? He is in disbelief that there is actually a Xaden and a Violet and a together situation.
Yeah.
And Dane tells Violet if she goes with Xaden, he is going to get her killed. Dane looks horrified. Horrified, but then he masks it and says if this is what she is choosing, he will have to let it go. He then tells Violet that he will miss her.
You'll miss her,
It's
Dane?
5 days.
5 days. He knows something.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dane enters villain era.
Yeah. It's like he sees the love of his life being with someone else, and you just hear that evil,
Yeah.
like, music coming in. Like, this is where he
Like,
becomes the
first it's
villain.
sad,
Yeah.
and then it, like, turns into, like, rock and roll.
Xaden thanks Violet for trusting him, and she tells him always. She notes it looks like Xaden wants to say more to her, but then he walks away. Then Violet
Mm.
says both of the most important men in her life are walking away in opposite directions, and given the one she's chosen, her life is about to change forever. So she already knows, like,
Yup.
this is a huge monumental moment. Yes, Xaden gave an order, but she would have gone anyways, and she knows that. Like,
Yeah.
she's choosing this.
100%.
Yeah.
Even if she had to go somewhere else, she would have ended up with Xaden.
Yes. Moving on to chapter 34. So, Xaden's chosen squad is in flight and they are heading to the outpost of Athbine. And they are stopping for a little water break for the dragons and a little rest because it's already been a long flight. And we get to see a cute moment between Xaden and Violet before everything gets turned upside down.
So the epigraph for chapter 34 is the first known griffin attack occurred in 1AU, which means after unification, near what is now the trading post of Resin. At the edge of the dragon protected border, The post has always been vulnerable to an attack and, over the course of the past 6 centuries, has changed hands no less than 11 times in what has become a never ending war to secure our borders from our power hungry enemies. And this comes from Navarre, an unedited history by Colonel Lewis Markham.
That is so interesting.
So interesting.
Not just knowing what we know, but just in general that they have this outpost that is beyond the wards. Why?
Yeah.
That's
I don't
interesting to
know.
me.
And I think it's also interesting that trading post has changed power so many times.
So is that why it's beyond the wards? Do we have other posts, I wonder, outside the wards where when
Maybe.
it's a trading post? Maybe that's why.
Maybe. To make it like an even playing field because they can't use their powers when they're under the
Right.
wards.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Yeah. Okay.
Good talk, good
Good
talk.
talk. Glad we just walked through this together.
Yeah, literally. All right, so they are flying all morning, and when Indarna needs a break, she latches onto Taryn and sleeps. They fly around the cliffs of Draelor that give Tyrander a geographical advantage over every province on the continent and head into the mountains of North Athbine.
I love that and Darna just goes and takes a nap in her saddle with
I
Taryn. That's just so
know.
cute.
She's like, hook me up. I need a
Yeah.
nap. So cute. Violet feels the snap as they cross the barrier of the wards, and Taryn tells her that magic is wilder outside of the wards, and it's actually easier for the dragons to communicate when they're in the wards,
Mm,
which is
that
interesting.
is interesting. And I think Taryn tells Violet that Xaden will have to take this all into consideration when he is leading their
Yeah.
group.
It makes sense, though, to make it more of an even playing field with the Griffins. Otherwise, the dragons would just annihilate them every single
Oh,
time.
for sure.
Violet notices when they land outside of Athbine so the dragons can get some water
Mm.
that the nearby grass was trampled, so they weren't the first riot to rest there.
Hmm.
She's like, somebody's been here before. She's so observant.
She is.
There are 10 pairs of riders and dragons, and Liam and Violet are the only first years in the headquarters squad.
Mhm.
And they flew for 7 hours straight at this point, which is crazy.
Yeah, Violet is sore, but not as bad as the last long flight since she's been putting in those extra flight hours. Yay, Violet!
Yes. And Taryn tells us that he can go days without sleep, so we don't have to worry about
Yeah,
him.
and Darna is being stubborn about getting some sleep. She says she won't sleep until Taryn does, but she was already napping in her saddle, so
Yeah.
she's just sassy sometimes.
Yeah, she's getting older.
Yeah. Violet notes Taryn will need energy if she needs to wield lightning, but she isn't one to talk because she broke Zayden's window last night. And she's surprised Professor Carr hasn't given up on her yet when she's just talking about the control of her, her signet power.
Signet. Yeah.
Violet says it feels weird to be outside of the wards, and Violet wonders if they all feel it, the wrongness in the air.
Ooh. Is that
Hmm.
just like her body foreshadowing an attack, or is that really some magic
Yeah.
wardness going
Like,
on?
is that how it's supposed to feel when they're
Yeah.
outside of the wards? Or is she just
Yeah.
having a premonition of some kind that something bad is gonna
Yeah.
happen?
So they are about 20 minutes out from the Athbine post and they have no idea what is waiting for them there.
Mhm.
Remember, in the last section of chapters, when Violet looks at the missives and sees that Athbine is in dire need of reinforcements, and that is where her squad ends up. So who the hell knows what they're walking into at this
Yeah,
point?
and why were they assigned this post?
Yeah, exactly. Knowing what they know, even if it
Well, knowing
was
what she knows.
classified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I meant leadership in general, like
Oh,
knowing what they know.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause they suck. Liam comes to check on Violet as Violet warns Indarna to stay near Tarn. She is a shiny target outside of the veil. Violet
Yes, she
thinks
is.
that they should have left Indarna behind, but Taryn tells her it was never Violet's choice. Dragons decide. Even as young as Indarna, they know their own mind, which we know this. And so
Yeah.
I think Violet just has this like guilt that she has bonded to a dragon so young and it's this big
Yeah.
secret. And so even though she can't decide what either of her dragons are doing, I think she just feels extra responsible for Indarna.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like even though we're at the last section of chapters, it's been months now. Like we're almost at the end of the year already.
Right.
So they've already been bonded for so long. So I feel like she's missed out on so much more than we're reading on the page already.
Mhm.
So this feels like she should kind of be involved at this point. It's been almost a year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. According to the scribes, The statistics say that they will lose 10% of riders in the last event of War Games, which I guess they said there's 10 of them, right? So they're going to lose at least one.
Violet is remembering having Zayden naked a few hours ago while they're on
Ooh.
their little water break. And Zayden says if she keeps looking at him like that, they will be stopped for more than just a half hour. And she asks, "Promise?"
Oh,
And
shit.
Zayden whips his head towards her, but then he smiles at her. He
Oh.
smiled. That's something that we shouldn't be this excited over.
I know.
That's just like a basic thing to have in a relationship, but whatever.
I know they're just starting to show some romantic feelings for each other out in public besides just in their
Yeah.
bedrooms or in their minds.
Yeah. Well, she's like, I don't know. Apparently, he's never smiled at her because she's like shook.
Yeah, she's like, "Smooth."
Toxic men. We are not attracted to toxic men, except we are. Liam wants Violet to be careful with Xaden because he knows Xaden's priorities. So he's always seen how they are with
Yeah.
each other, and he is warning his friend Violet to be careful.
Yeah. And Violet mentioned she thinks the assignment by Colonel Atos is meant to give the marked wing leaders his due.
Hmm.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
He has done his due, I
Oh,
think.
for sure.
Look at the
With 7
107
marks.
marks.
Yeah. Liam says no one hauled him here. I think Violet is just always apologetic to Liam that he always just has to be where she is. But Liam says that
Yeah.
no one hauled him here. And sometimes things don't have to do with Violet. He has other skills. And Violet says she has never once forgotten how amazing Liam is.
Yeah, I think she's just feeling guilty because he's having to go beyond the wards.
She just has a bad feeling, and of course
Yeah,
she loves Liam as a friend, and she's worried about Darna, she's worried about Liam.
exactly.
So Xaden approaches them and steals Violet away by offering his hand, and she's like, he's gonna do this in front of everybody, but
Yeah.
he laces his fingers with her. They walk away, but Xaden says no one will say a single word about her, that he trusts every single person here with his life. And Violet is
Mm.
not ashamed to be in love with Xaden.
Oh.
Now Xaden is fussing over Violet and says that worrying about Violet is how he spends 99% of his time. But I love that, like, we know Dane is also doing the same thing, but let's just
Yeah,
see how they both treat her is dramatically different.
I know. Literally polar opposites.
Polar opposites, but they're both worried about her 99% of the time of their day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So the plan when they get to the outpost is for Violet to rest, Liam to stay with her, of course, and Xaden to take the third years on patrol. Violet obviously objects, but Xaden tells her that he needs her at full strength or she can burn out because Taryn is just too powerful.
Yeah, I just want to know what they're going to be doing when they get there. That, like, he
I
needs her to
know.
rest.
I think they just participate in whatever the outpost is doing. So they're
Oh,
just assuming that it's going to be attacked because they read that missive
gotcha.
and they know it's dangerous and outside of the wards.
Gotcha. So Xaden gives Violet a calf massage, and Xaden
Oh.
wants any excuse to get his hands on her. Xaden also apologizes that they couldn't finish this morning and that he doesn't know if he will ever be finished with her.
Ooh.
Violet tells Xaden he is a very dangerous addiction and that she will be impossible to sate. And Xaden tells her that he's going to keep her, that she is
Aw.
his, that he has been hers for longer than she can even imagine.
I just love that this is all spilling out right before this dramatic ass battle, too. Like, we're literally at the highest high as the readers right now, and I love it.
Yeah, but everything is about to all crash and burn because
Yeah.
Xaden freezes and then apologizes to Violet. He's like, I'm so sorry,
Mhm.
Violet. And then a woman says, is this how dragon riders spend their time?
Wild.
Xaden tries to hide Violet, but it's too late. The woman knows that Violet is General Sorrengail's youngest daughter. And
Mhm.
Xaden tells Violet he's going to need her to stay very calm.
Unbelievable. I remember on my first read, I was like,
Mother
"Motherfucker."
fucker.
I was
Yes. I
pissed. I
was
was like,
so mad, so shocked, did not see this
yeah.
coming at
No.
all.
No, me neither. I knew they were always planning
Yes.
something, but I didn't think like this.
No, and I didn't know that it was gonna come before he had a chance to catch Violet up to speed.
Yeah, exactly. Like she would know first and then be introduced to everything going on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wild. So a pair of griffin riders stand 30 feet away from them.
Mhm.
Their beasts are silent behind them. They are a third of the size of their dragons, but their beaks and claws look capable of shredding skin and scales. Taryn is on his way, but Violet tells Indarna to stay with Sigale.
Mm.
They are the same size as Indarna, but Indarna thinks the griffins look
Of
tasty.
course she
She's like,
does.
oh, she's like, sign me up. I'm on my way. But Violet's like, no, you stay with Sigale.
Yeah. The woman is in disbelief that she just saw Xaden with a fucking soaring gale.
I literally was like, "Oh my god, is he having an affair with this girl or like
Mm.
cheating at first?" I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
So Violet reaches for her powers, but Xaden yells, "No!" and stops her.
Yeah. Xaden tells Violet if she has ever trusted him, that he is going to need her to do that now. Xaden again tells her to stay calm, and then he passes Violet to Liam.
Unbelievable.
Liam pins Violet's arms to her side, and Liam also apologizes to her. Liam tells her he cannot let her go, but Taryn is having none of this.
Yeah,
He
thank God.
roars at Liam, so Liam drops her arms, is like, okay, point made.
He's like, "Yep, okay,
I
okay, do
won't
not
touch
touch her."
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Violet hears Xaden say, "You're fucking early." And Violet's heart stops. I just got chills again.
Wild. I remember being like, holy shit. Like, you just have to keep going at this point.
Yeah, which is what we're gonna do. So we're moving on
Hmm.
to chapter 35. Xaden's betrayal is epic.
Yeah.
It is
Devastating.
devastating and
Ah,
heartbreaking. And Violet just cannot even fathom how someone she loves or potentially could love her could ever do something like this to her and be a traitor to the kingdom. And she just
yeah.
cannot wrap her head around it. Also, the folklore we've been hearing about comes into play. So, enough of me rambling. Let's just keep going.
Yes. Let's go. So, the epigraph for chapter 35 is in his last days of interrogation, Fen Ryerson lost touch with reality, railing against the kingdom of Navarre. He accused King Tori of all who came before him of a conspiracy so vast, so unspeakable, that it does not bear repeating by this historian. The execution was
Mm.
swift and merciful for a madman who cost untold lives. And this is from Navarre, an unedited history by Colonel Lewis Markham.
Wow.
Wild. So we obviously know that this unspeakable conspiracy that's so vast they can't repeat it is about Venin because they're trying to fucking hide it.
And it is real.
And it is fucking real. Holy
And
shit.
Fen Ryerson died for the
Because of
truth.
this. Yeah.
Here we go.
Wild. Here we go.
Violet is surprised she can still breathe, considering her heart is breaking into a million pieces while she is glaring at their enemy.
Xaden says to the Griffin Riders, "What happened to meeting tomorrow? We don't have a full shipment." And they respond, "The shipment isn't the issue." But Taryn confirms to Violet that if they try anything, there'll be a snap.
Mm-hmm.
Violet puts it together that Xaden is working with the enemy.
Yep.
She's like, oh my motherfucking God. She's like, I've been fooled.
I have been fooled.
Crazy. So they were patrolling from Dratheus yesterday, and it's about an hour southeast from where Violet's squad had landed now. They are there actually to warn them. They lost a village in the vicinity to a horde of Venin 2 days ago. Let me repeat that. Venin. And Imogen acts like this is normal. She says, Venin never come up this far west.
Violet is now in complete shock. If she thought she was in
Yeah.
shock before, she is in even more shock now. Not
Yeah.
only is she standing in front of their enemy, but they are talking about Venin, who they are talking about like they're actually real.
Yeah. And Violet is like, "Huh? You mean the folklore?"
Yeah. Like, has everyone lost their mind? Like, did I just, like, hit my head against this rock I was just leaning against,
Literally.
and I'm, like, dreaming?
Yeah. So the Griffin Rider says, "Yeah, until now, these Venom haven't come this far west."
Yeah.
But Xaden tells her to stop. They can't know any details or they'll put themselves at risk. If even one of them actually gets interrogated, it's over. So none of them really can know the details, not just Violet.
Yeah. If this attack happened 2 days ago, this Venom attack, clearly leadership knew about it.
Yeah. Clearly, Colonel Atos knew about it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Violet looks to Taryn and the others like they can't be serious, but everyone else looks horrified.
Details or not, the Venom are headed north to their trading post on the border at Athbine, and Xaden tells the Griffin Riders that they are armed. Their job is done, and they've been warned. And now the Griffin Riders are going to help their own people. But before they leave, they tell Xaden that they will never convince a Sorengale to help anyone outside of their borders. Then says, "I wonder what the king will pay for the daughter of his most illustrated general." And Taryn doesn't like that though, and he
Even
snarls.
Bodhi steps closer to Violet. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
But Violet tells them she would like to see them try and releases some of her power so that light flashes in the clouds.
Yeah,
So,
she's like, "Fuck with me, bye now."
yeah, literally. So she doesn't let a lightning bolt wield to the ground, but she has it flash into the sky saying, "That's
Yeah,
me." But
yeah. She's like, "It's waiting up there."
yeah, Xaden also doesn't like them saying this, and he releases his shadows and says if they step towards that Sorengale, they'll be dead before they can even shift their weight. That Violet is not up for discussion.
Nope. That Sorengale, I love that.
Yeah.
So one of the Griffin Riders says they will be with the rest of their drift and to signal if they can get away from the disbelievers, and they mount and launch
Just
into the
Violet.
sky.
I love they said disbelievers, like there's more than
Yeah,
one.
literally. She's like, "Okay, well, I'll chill, but" hmm.
No one else looks surprised that Xaden was aiding the enemy. She is the outsider here. Imogen wishes Xaden good luck before walking away from them.
Violet is noticing that everyone around her is carrying a rebellic relic. You're just now noticing this,
Mm.
Violet?
Yeah, like you're for a pretty observant gal, which we just said. How did you not notice this
Yeah.
before that?
I do have a question here, though, because how did they allow them to take all these people for his headquarters squad, knowing that they have rebellion relic when it's against the laws?
Well, I think because leadership knew exactly where they were sending Xaden, and if he wanted to take kids with rebellion relics, the more dead, the better.
So you think all of leadership knew about this?
I think definitely Colonel Atos and Panchak knew. Yeah.
Interesting. See, obviously I know Dane's dad knows, but I wasn't thinking that Panchek knew.
I think he would have to because he was up there with Atos. And we know that Panchak has aspirations to have
Yeah,
General Sorengale's job and
that's
Belgreen.
true.
So,
It's just crazy that she didn't know that they were going to Athbine.
General
Well, I
Sorengale.
guess he says in the letter that you can go to your real post. So she probably is thinking the real post is the real post the whole time.
Right, probably.
Is like where they went.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Violet's heart is breaking. She fell for a traitor, and then she realizes that Taryn and Indarna lied to her too. Indarna said that they chose her, but Violet is upset because they knew and didn't tell her. Liam
Mhm.
is looking at her with sorrow in his eyes, and Taryn is focused on Xaden like he doesn't know if he's about to burn him alive or not.
Yeah, so dragons are bound by bonds. There is only one bond more sacred than that of a rider and dragon, and that is the mating bond.
Yes. But Indarna had no
Yeah,
ties to not tell her.
that's true.
So,
But she probably was like dragon code, like it's not
yeah.
my thing to tell kind of thing.
Yeah. Violet wonders if Dane was right, and everything was just a ploy to earn her trust. Xaden is approaching her cautiously, like she is a cornered animal. She feels like a fool for trusting him, for falling for him, and how could she be this naive?
His father may have been the great betrayer and may have cost her brother's life, but Zayden's betrayal cuts her deep.
And Xaden flinches when he looks at her. But Violet turns to Liam instead. and asks if they were ever truly friends. So Violet is taking
Ugh,
out her anger. Obviously, she's very upset with Liam, but she doesn't even want to deal with her anger with Zayden right now, and
yeah.
instead
She
focuses
can't
it
face it.
all at Liam.
Yeah. She just can't face it right now. So she's like, "Really, Liam?"
Yeah. Liam tells her that they are friends, but he owes Zayden his life. That they
Mhm.
all do, and to just let Zayden explain. But Violet is like, no, I'm taking my anger out on you, Liam, and says, you watched us train together. You watched me fall for him.
Ugh.
But I mean, Liam did just say to her, be careful. I know what his
Yeah.
priorities are. So,
Yeah.
as her friend, he did kind of tell you.
Of course, and I honestly I don't think she's really mad at Liam. I think she's just exactly what you said, just taking it out on
Yeah,
him.
she's directing
Yeah,
her anger in the wrong direction.
exactly.
Zayden wants her to let him explain.
And Violet is thinking, he has always known my true nature, and the shadows should have clued me in on his. He is a master of secrets.
Mm.
Ooh. Violet's power flares with rage, and lightning cracks through the sky from cloud to cloud.
Violet says if he even thinks about touching her, she will kill Zayden. Liam is like,
Ooh.
Zayden, I'm pretty sure she means it. And Zayden's like, yeah, I know she means it.
He's like, I know, fuck my
Yeah.
life.
All right, Liam, I didn't need the play by play. I know she's
Yeah.
serious. Zayden sends everyone else away and tells Violet he knows what she is thinking. He betrayed his kingdom. And she's like, wow, yeah, like, good for you. Like, of course, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. She then calls Zayden a cliche, a villain hiding in the open.
Oh,
Ugh,
and Zayden, of course, has to correct her in this moment for what reason I don't know, but he tells her that the Griffin Riders are actually called Flyers.
yeah. And he also says that he might be a villain, but he is not a villain to her.
Zayden asks her, did she ever think that sometimes you can start on the right side of a war and end up on the wrong one? But Violet's like, no, we've been defending our borders for 600 years. They're the ones who will not accept peace as a solution. And she asks what the shipment is, and he tells her it's weapons, but not to fight dragon riders, to fight Venom. So now she's like, hello, Venons are not real, Zayden.
Yeah.
She's like, they are stuff of fables, like the book from her father. But then she thinks of his cryptic note, and that says folklore is passed from one generation to the next to teach us about our past. And Zayden actually confirms they're real.
Yeah. At first, she's like, Zayden, even though you're a villain and you're a betrayer, like, you are fucking smart. Venom are not
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. She's like, come on.
Yeah.
But now Violet's like, wait, so you're telling me that people actually can tap into the source of magic without a dragon or a griffin to channel and corrupt their power beyond all salvation? And Zayden is like, yep.
Yeah. Pretty much.
True.
Violet wants to know if Taryn wants to add to this discussion. He's like, nope, not yet. He wants Violet to come to her own conclusions, that he chose Violet for her intelligence and her courage. Taryn also
Mhm.
reminds her to not let him down. She's like, let
Interesting.
you down? You just fucking lied to me.
Yeah. So Violet's like, fine, if I did believe it, then I have to believe that they don't attack Navarre because. And then it hits her.
Mhm.
The wards make all non dragon magic impossible, which means she has to believe that they have no clue Poromil is being attacked by Venin. And Zayden says, or can you believe that they know and they fucking do nothing about it? But Violet says, why would they choose to do nothing? And Zayden's like, because the only thing that kills Venin is the very thing powering the wards. So Violet, she's just putting it all together at this point, and she's asking, is this why they're raids? Are they looking for the material they use to power the wards? And Zayden nods and says the material is forged into weapons to fight the Venom. And Violet examines the dagger and notices it's the same one that her mom had in her office. But Zayden says she probably has one for the same reason that fucking Violet should, to defend herself against the Venom. So this I feel like is confirming for us that leadership does indeed know about the Venom and
Yeah.
is indeed hiding the truth from everybody
Yes.
in Navarre.
And Colonel Atos sent them to Athmine to die.
Yes.
Violet says Zayden told her that there was no chance we would be fighting something like this. But Zayden reminds her that he said he hoped that if there was a threat out there like this, that their leadership would tell them. So there's a
Yeah, but he
difference in what
knows.
he said.
I think he's just trying to let her figure it out on her own and not, like, throw it in her face, but he definitely knows that leadership knows about
Yeah.
this.
Violet said that Zayden twisted the truth to suit his needs. And Zayden said he could lie to her, but he's not. He tells her no matter what she thinks, Zayden has never lied to her.
Mhm.
Zayden says it hurts to think that we are the kind of kingdom that would do this. Rearrange everything you think you know, that lies are comforting and the truth is painful.
Yeah.
Zayden says he couldn't tell her any of this because of Dane, that Dane wouldn't break a rule to save her life. What would he do if he had this knowledge?
He has a point
He
there.
does, but Violet says, well, we will never know because Zayden didn't trust her enough to know the right thing to do.
I mean, he definitely should have told her before she found out like this.
Yes.
Absolutely. I
Yes.
agree.
Yes, he didn't need to tell her obviously right away, but he's been trusting her with a lot of things over the course
Yeah.
of the year, and this was something that needed to be said before they left Basgiath for this war game.
Absolutely. But Zayden, of course, is going to defend himself and
Yeah.
say, this is bigger than them. Leadership will stop at nothing to sit behind the wards and keep the venom a secret. He watched his own father executed trying to help these people, and he couldn't risk her too.
Yeah, so there's also like a trauma attached to this as
Of
well.
course.
He
Yeah.
lost his father and now he can't lose the one person that he loves. And
Yeah.
basically, Zayden is like, you love me. And she corrects him that she loved him, but he shouts at her
Ooh.
and says, love, that she loves him.
Yeah.
Violet says what she felt was based on secrets, and Zayden says that everything between them is real. The rest he can explain with enough time. Before they leave, he needs to know if she believes him.
Violet is thinking of her father's note in this moment where it says, I know you'll make the right choice when the time comes. And he was trying to warn her the whole time through books.
Yes, Violet does believe Zayden, but just because she believes him, it doesn't mean she trusts him. Zayden makes her keep the dagger as he has more. He was
Mhm.
telling the truth when he said he couldn't live without her. Plus, defenseless women have never been his type. But Violet is not in the mood for jokes.
Yeah, it's too soon.
And Darna tries to defend her and Taryn and saying, but we didn't lie. We just didn't tell you everything. And Violet says that that is lying by omission. And Taryn agrees with Violet and says that Violet has every reason to be upset. They made a choice to protect her without her consent. It is an error he will not make again.
Ooh, at least he's owning up to it
Yeah,
though.
and I think that we know that about Taryn's character is that he
Yeah.
is very protective and sassy and but
Yeah.
he
He wanted Violet to make her own decision. Like he even said it earlier in this chapter. He's like, you need to hear the truth and decide for yourself before I influence you.
yes. He's just like his morals are just the standard of where
Yeah,
morals should be. Of
exactly.
course Taryn is gonna take this to heart because yeah,
Super hard.
like
Yeah.
he always wants her to figure things out on her own, but he also needs her consent in that as well. And he took that away from her in this.
Yeah, definitely. But they put a pin in that and they are mid flight now to Athbine. And the guilt Taryn feels overwhelms Violet's emotions,
Mhm.
melting the hottest of her anger. And she thinks if Venom exists, they would have them on record. And there wasn't even a Fables of the Baron book in the archives when she asked Jasenia just a few months ago now.
Mhm.
And this is the one location in Navarre that should have a copy of every book written or transcribed in the last 400 years. But this means he didn't just give her a rare book, he gave her a forbidden one.
Mhm.
And 400 years, though, when the history spans over 600 years, so we're missing 200 years here, people. Everything is a copy of an earlier work. The only original texts in the archives older than 400 years are the original scrolls from Unification Day that are over 600 years ago.
Mhm.
She thinks of her dad's note again, and he says it only takes one desperate generation to change history. Even erase it. Like he is actually spelling it out for her here.
Yeah.
He always told her the scribes held all the power,
Yeah.
and he's right.
Yep. Taryn says it's correct. It takes one generation to change the text, the next to teach it, and the next generation grows it, and then the lie becomes history.
Literally.
Which is
Okay.
just so scary to even just think about in
I
our real
know.
life. Like,
I know, like, how true that
yeah,
is.
and then also though, going back to this about, like, having this forbidden book about folklore about the venom, but other people know the stories of venom. Even I think Rhiannon knew stories of, like, bedtime
Yeah,
horrors. So it
yeah.
is kind of still out there a little bit of, like, nightmares, like, fake folklore, but then it was who was that awful girl that got burnt at presentation?
Yeah, I can't remember her name right now.
She didn't know anything about venom, like, she was never
Yeah,
told, like, a bedtime story or if you don't eat your peas, like, the venom are gonna
yeah.
come get you, so
You know what, though? We do know that Violet and Rhiannon have older siblings, so that girl might not have just had an older sibling and maybe a newer generation parent. I think it's just like an example of how they literally erased it from history.
Mhm.
Like it was a myth or folklore
Yeah.
that got passed down for literally 400 years at this point. So eventually some people
Stop telling the
stopped
story.
knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So when they get to the outpost, they realize it's empty and they're all like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Zayden tells them to stop, divide, and search. He doesn't think that this is part of the war games
Yeah,
anymore.
and Violet is not to leave Xaden's side.
So they get to an open air observation of the outpost and the Poramish trading post. So they can see both. They
Mhm.
can see all their surroundings. And Violet says that this is one of the most strategic posts they man. There's no way they would clear it for war games, especially because it's outside the wards.
I can't. Xaden wants to know what Dane said to Violet before they left. And Violet says that he said, I'll miss you, Violet. Xaden also reminds her he said Xaden was going to get Violet killed.
Yeah, so now they're all remembering this and they're like, "Oh my god, Dane fucking knows something."
Yeah, literally like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
So Liam uses his farsight to look at the trading post, which is about a 20-minute walk away from where they are now, and he sees some griffins and flyers approaching from the south.
Xaden wants to know if Violet ever told Dane anything, and she said no, she never hid anything from Xaden.
And Xaden asked Violet if Dane ever touched her face after he told her about Athbine, and she said yeah, but she would have known if he read her memories. And Xaden says, "Trust me, Violence, you wouldn't have."
Yeah, but Xaden is not mad at her.
No.
But Violet is like, Dane wouldn't. Dane is a lot of things, but he wouldn't violate her like that. He would never take something she hadn't offered. But she remembers he did try once before to do it.
Yeah, and he's not the same person that you're thinking of, Violet.
Yeah.
But the envelope Riddick found says War Games on it for Zayden Ryerson, wing leader of 4th Wing. And Violet already knows whose handwriting it is. Colonel Atos.
Mm-hmm.
That motherfucker.
That motherfucker. That whole family.
God. Suddenly, though, Liam sees something past the trading post. The missive only says, survive if we can.
Violet knows Dane read her memories and she has betrayed them all. Liam is saying the situation they are in is bad, and Xaden tells Violet that this is not her fault. He then turns to the rest of their group and tells them they've been sent here to die.
Dun dun dun! And thus the battle chapter is next.
Yes, chapter 36, Amanda said it all. The battle chapter is here. It is long, it is crazy, it is devastating, and let's just get it. I mean,
Yeah.
let's just start.
If we want to finish tonight, we better get
Yeah.
started. So here's the epigraph for chapter 36. For there, in the land beyond the shadows, were the monsters that dwelled in the night and dined on the souls of children who wandered too close to the woods. This is from The Wyvern's Cry, The Fables of the
I
Banyan.
literally just got full body chills. I'm
Yeah.
not ready. This is the last chapter that
I
I
know.
finished writing notes on just literally 20 minutes before we started recording and I was literally crying. So here we go.
So Violet can't spot a threat anywhere for miles before the cliffs of Draylor. Taryn, though, he can feel something isn't right, and it's coming from the valley below. Liam can see the threat, and he's thinking that they are fucked.
Mhm.
Xaden believes that they are testing their loyalty without saying it. If they leave now, they'll make it to the new location of headquarters for 4th Wing at
Which
Eltaval in
is
time.
where Date is.
Yes. In time to carry out the orders for war games, but if they leave, the trading post of Resson and its occupants will be destroyed by Venom.
Yes, Liam is positive of what he is seeing.
So there are 4 of them in purple robes, distended red veins all around bright red eyes, and creepy as shit.
Mhm.
These motherfuckers are scary looking.
Mhm.
No wonder they were from fables of folklore
Yeah, it's
drama. They
easy.
literally look
Yeah, it's easy to write
like,
a nightmare like that when they're actually creepy as fuck.
yeah. 1 second, the plane was clear, and then there they were. And one of them has a staff. So I think he's like in charge of this little group here.
Yeah.
Imogen asks about the red veins, and Violet tells her it's because the magic corrupts their blood as they lose their souls. At least if the fables are true,
Yeah.
because this is what she learned from the book. They learned from Indarna earlier this year that nature likes everything in balance, which is making sense here now.
Yes.
The venom with the staff breaks down the gate to Reston, and we learn more than 300 people live here. It's supposed that they do yearly trades at.
Yeah.
There's 7 griffins that land next to them, and Violet tells Indarna to stay with Taryn.
Yeah. Bodhi says they have to get down there. One of the venom just exploded the gates open, and Xenon says they have no idea what they will be walking into, but Bodhi doesn't know how they're just going to sit there and watch these civilians die.
Zayden says if they go down there, some of them, if not all of them, will die.
Yes.
So somebody's dying today. Soleil says that they do have the numbers and air superiority.
Mhm.
And Violet is thinking, at least there aren't any wyvern.
Oh,
And Bodhi's like, what? And Violet tells him that the fables say that Venom created them to compete with the dragons instead of channeling from them. They channel to the wyverns. So they create the wyverns and give them the
Violet,
power.
stop manifesting.
Literally, I'm like, "Ugh,
Shut up,
you are
Violet.
literally a walking foreshadower."
Yeah.
But the older brunette flyer tells them that she wants them to leave. Since the post is abandoned, they left the rest of their drift to the gods. Even though for the 4 of them it would be a death sentence if they left, she is giving them an out because they really had no idea what they would be up against.
Mhm.
It only took 2 of them to take down an entire city last month, and they lost 2 drifts trying to defend them. They're after something and will kill everyone who gets in their way. And she says, take your riot and go home while you can. I'm scared at this point.
Yeah. Imogen says they have dragons and they are not afraid to fight. But the flyer says, are you afraid to die? Have you ever seen combat?
Yeah, and Dragonfire does not kill them. Only the daggers will. And the brunette is very thankful for Zayden in this moment for the help and keeping them alive for the last couple of years. Because they're probably thinking, like, yep, we're dying.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get out of here and we're dying. But thank you so much. We're only alive because of you.
Yeah, the flyers are going down there to die.
And if they leave, everyone dies, the flyers and the civilians. But if they stay, they will likely die too. So they can either leave as cowards or die as riders. And Violet realizes that their parents died to expose the truth while hers sacrificed her brother to keep this horrible secret. She is like, ew, disgusted with her mom and Navarre at this point.
Yeah.
But all of them, they're in and they are ready to fight.
Yeah. I'm literally already feel like crying.
I know.
Just even reading that sentence, like when she realizes that Zayden's parents or all of their parents died to
I
try to expose this truth
know.
and her sacrificed her brother.
So sad.
So Violet is the last to say that she's in, and she remembers what one of the flyers said that they would never convince a Sorengale to risk their neck for anyone outside of the Navarian borders. And she's
Mhm.
like, well, today that is not happening. I will
Yeah.
fight. And Violet checks in with Taryn and he says they will feast on their bones.
Hell yeah.
Violet is not going to let innocent people die. She is in.
Yes.
But
Oh,
that's
God,
Violet's
crazy.
character, and I think we've
Yeah, of
seen that
course.
over the whole course of this book, that she is not like her family, and
Yeah,
she can make up her own mind, and she will never let even her enemy die, never mind or
yeah,
her enemy, which she sees as an enemy at best Gaius die, never
exactly.
mind innocent people.
And honestly, I think everyone, every single one of the Rebellion Relic kids, including Xaden, knows that she would have been different from the rest of
Oh,
them
yeah, for sure.
and fought with them no matter what.
Yeah.
So Liam gives the report to Xaden. All 6 or 7 of the flyers are engaged, trying to draw fire away from the civilians, but the Venin are wielding a fire that he's never seen before. 3 surround the city, and 1 is making its way to the clock tower in the middle. So Xaden gives assignments. Garrick and Soleil will do a perimeter sweep while the rest of them target the Venin on various sides of Ressin. The only way to take them out is by the dagger, so they will have to dismount and fight after they save the civilians. The mission is to save as many people as they can.
Sigale tells Violet that she knew that Violet would make the right choice. Xaden did too, even if he doesn't like to put her in danger. He knew she would too. Violet responds back to her that he knows her better than she knows him. And Sigale says Violet is a far cry from the trembling girl who stood in the courtyard and tried to mask her fear after Parapet, and she approves. And Violet says she
Mhm.
isn't looking for Sigale's approval. If she is going to
Ooh.
die, she is going to be honest in her last moments.
That's right, girlfriend. She's like, fuck you. I don't give a shit about your approval anymore.
Yeah.
She's like, we're going to go in this and swing until we die.
Yeah.
So Violet orders Indarner to stay and hide. If they don't come back, or if she thinks Venin are approaching, fly home to the Vale and get behind the wards, no matter what.
Mhm.
Somebody has to live today, I think she says to her.
Yeah.
A screech renders the air and an enormous gray dragon appears. And Violet remembers Mira saying she saw a riot of dragons beyond the border, but it actually wasn't dragons. It was fucking wyvern, and they were blowing blue fire. Violet tells Xaden that it's actually wyvern and they have 2 legs and not 4, which she describes to him
Yeah.
and how she knows.
Yeah. Violet thinks this is what leadership has been redacting. And Imogen points out that they lost their air superiority now.
Yeah.
Taryn calls the Werven abominations, and he has suspected, so that is why he has been tough on her in flight maneuvers.
Yeah, they were doing flight maneuvers that even third years couldn't handle.
Yeah, it's all coming together now.
Yep, exactly. But none of them change their minds though, and they all mount up. Xaden gives Violet another dagger, so she has 2.
Yes. Xaden doesn't even think of asking her to stay behind because he knows she won't and he is not going to pick a fight he cannot win. And that
Mhm.
is the difference between Xaden and Dane
Yeah,
right
but
here.
he is already in the doghouse too, so.
Yes. Well, they both are at this point.
True.
General Mel Green won't be able to see anything that's happening right now because there are too many marked ones, which I think Colonel Atos was actually really counting on. So that none
Yeah,
like
so that he couldn't.
stop this from happening or like General Sorrengill from mounting up and going to drag Violet out.
Yeah. But I also think too that he's hoping that they all die so that he can blame them for ditching the actual outpost.
Yes.
But in reality, they didn't ditch. They were going to where they thought they were going and then are met with this craziness.
Yeah.
So,
Xaden tells Violet he still has more secrets to tell her, so if she can stay alive, he will tell her all of them. Violet still wants Xaden alive, even though she hates that she loves him, and Xaden says
mhm.
he can live with that. Taryn says that there is something in the trading post, like there's just something weird, and they can all feel it. So, this bad feeling Violet was having, the dragons feel it, everyone can feel it. There's something just icky and bad.
Yeah, something bad brewing. There's suddenly an explosion that takes out a chunk of the post's high stone wall, and the civilians are running through the streets screaming. The wyvern is gone for now, but it will be back.
Mhm.
There's a figure standing on top of the roof in a purple robe shooting blue fire at civilians below, and he's terrifying with red veins and soulless eyes consumed by magic. It had a red cane made of some sort of mishappen wood.
Mm.
Taryn blasts him with fire, but it does nothing. Only the dagger will kill them.
Yes.
A wyvern blasts fire at Taryn and Violet, but this time it's a different wyvern, and it bears a female rider in maroon flight gear that looks like their own.
Yeah, so now this wyvern has a venom on top of it. Great.
Why is that a reference that they look like their own? That makes me feel like all the dead riders who become Venom have maroon robes, but I'm going to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Taryn is relaying that there is a second wyvern to the others, and Xaden may be in command of the riders, but Taryn is leading the dragons, which
Yeah.
must be, I guess it's working for them in this situation, but it must be weird. Like Violet should be in charge because her dragon's in charge,
Yeah.
or like Sigale should be in charge because Xaden's in charge, but that's not how it's
Yeah.
working.
I think it's probably like Xaden makes the calls, and if Taryn disagrees with them, he tells the dragons the real plan
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Xaden is shocked and raged when he finds out about the second wyvern. He tells Violet if she gets separated from Taryn, to call out and fight until he can get there. Taryn says there is no chance he is letting Violet off of his back.
Xaden finds a sealed entrance to a mine that they want to try to evacuate the civilians to.
Mhm.
So Taryn is going to cover for Bodhi and Garrick, who will move them. Apparently, griffins and dragons can communicate, and Taryn knows that they are getting orders now themselves. And Violet is nervous. She can't aim, but Taryn is like, "You are aiming today, honey. You don't have a choice."
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to point out here that it was really funny that when Violet finds out that the dragons and griffins can speak to each other, Tierna's like, how do you think we communicated before humans got involved?
Yeah. He's like, this goes long before you puny humans are
Yeah.
wherever are here.
Crazy.
So they pass a flyer with a shriveled up griffin on the side.
No. But the wyvern is circling back with Sigale and Xaden going to intercept.
But Taryn says they can hold their own and they have orders and they have to stay focused.
Mhm.
So they're starting to get people moving to safety, but there is a venom coming at them. And Taryn tells Fuel, Soleil's dragon, so that he will protect her, and Violet tells him to get her away from the crowd. She wields lightning, but it hits a city wall. And Taryn tells her to keep going and buy Liam and Day time. A trio of griffin flyers is dropping off civilians at the entrance and going in for more. She wields again, but the strike hits an outbuilding along a hillside. This gets the Venom's attention.
Yeah. Like, who are you?
Yeah, he's like, oh, God.
What do we got here?
No wonder we got called over here to this post.
Yeah.
Which I think he says later, but we'll wait to talk about
Yeah.
that. So Soleil throws up her hands using her powers to block the boulders from crushing civilians or blocking the escape route. And the venom starts to suck the magic out of the ground, and the grass turns brown around her. The flowers die and lose all of their color. She's channeling, so Violet tries to strike again, but no luck aiming. Dane tells Taryn to warn Violet to be careful. There is a chest with Liam's family name in a nearby building and is highly unstable. What the fuck is that about?
What does that mean?
And why is it Liam's family chest?
In Ressin.
Yeah. Suddenly, a civilian drops dead when the venom reached the land that they were standing on to suck the life out of it. And unfortunately, they lose Soleil the same way.
Yeah, her dragon fuel also dies the same way, and now the venom has even more power. Violet relays this message to Xaden and that they lost Soleil.
So the Griffins take flight to face off two riderless wyvern using lesser magic, but Taryn tells them to switch it up. They don't stand a chance if they can't get close to them and use these fucking daggers.
Yeah, Violet lets her power go again, and it hits closer to the venom, who glares back at her. Garrick and the other third years are on their way, and this venom is about to be outnumbered.
Hell yeah. The Griffins team up against one wyvern while the other is heading to scoop up the venom. Violet decides to aim for the building with the unstable material in it, and Taryn is thinking, hell yeah, excellent idea.
So is this the box with Liam's family crest on it?
I believe so. So they're just planning to blow it up so that it basically blows up all the wyvern in the vicinity.
Okay.
As Violet and Taryn are getting in position, Liam shoots the injured wyvern with ice at its throat, and it drops from the sky. One's down, but ice?
Should we talk about how Liam seems to have two signet powers?
Yeah.
Farsight and ice wielding?
And I love how it was just thrown in there like nonchalantly.
Yeah.
And Violet's even like, she doesn't even question this. She's like, huh?
She's like, yeah, and Liam wields ice.
Yeah.
When Liam has never wielded ice before.
Never.
And we saw him use his Farsight signet power to let them know that the venom were down in the valley. So he clearly has two signet powers.
Yeah, clearly. What the fuck is that all about?
I don't know. Well, we're not going to find out in this book.
No. So Taryn breathes fire to the building and it explodes, and they barely escape the blast. So one wyvern is down. Most of the civilians are safe, and Violet is thinking there's no way anyone survived that blast.
Right.
But they fucking did. Both the wyvern and the venom. And at the moment, there is actually more wyvern than dragons. There are at least 6 of them at this point.
Yeah. Taryn says that a bolt of lightning would stop the wyvern's heart. The venom really wants whatever is in that clock tower.
Yes, so Violet decides that they need to get the wyvern away from the city. So she gets their attention by striking lightning, of course, and it works. and they start to head towards her. She strikes again and again, and after missing a ton, she finally gets one and it drops from the sky. The civilians, though, they still need more time to reach the mine.
Mhm.
Zayden is strangling a wyvern with shadows, and another third year is throwing ice at one. Everyone is doing everything they can with a combination of dragon fire and magic.
Mhm.
Violet keeps on striking, missing some, but also getting another by nearby strike damage and hitting one directly on its back. Violet strikes 3 more times, and Bodhi's dragon snaps a wyvern's neck, killing it.
Mhm.
So they're holding their own here.
Yeah, they're definitely doing a lot of work. It may not seem in the
Yeah.
moment that they're victorious at all, like losing Soleil already, but they are holding their own for, people who are still in school.
Yeah, I know. I think their giant attacks are all kind of failing right now. Like the explosion didn't
Mhm.
work, the fire breathing's not working. But thank God for hand to hand combat and their dragons being so strong
Yeah.
and being able to help because they're holding their own.
Mhm.
So Segale flies in and Zayden impressively hops off her back and hides the civilians with his shadows from the hungry wyvern. A wyvern, though, is heading right for him, so he throws a shadow rope lasso over Segale's neck, who lifts him up and gets him into the saddle.
So cool.
So cool. There's a wyvern still on Taryn and Violet's tail, but Segale comes to the rescue and viciously bites its neck and knocks it out of the sky with her tail. Fucking awesome.
Mm. Yeah.
Just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
Violet gets the message, and it's her job to watch Zayden's back, and it's Violet's job to watch Taryn's.
Yeah. Sigale's like glaring at Violet and
Yeah, she's
she's
like,
like,
he shouldn't have
protect
been that
Cairn.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Liam has a wyvern with a venom rider chasing him. So Violet and Taryn head in his direction to help. The venom is blasting fireballs at Day, but he dodges them all. Liam runs off the back of Day and he flips onto the back of the wyvern and quickly slashes the venom's throat with a special dagger. The wyvern's dead body starts dropping and he leaps back on Day. Okay, Liam, best
Yeah.
fucking first year attitude here.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
fast.
just got hot and bothered a little bit.
I love Liam,
He just made my book boyfriend list too.
right?
So Wyvern does get close to Taryn and he swings his Morning Star tail at it, splitting it open and sending it back to the ground.
Hell yeah.
Dead. There is, of course, another one jetting towards them, and Day defends it by slamming into it, but it sends Liam flying to Taryn, who grabs onto Violet. So at least they caught him.
Yeah, Violet secures Liam with the belt from her saddle that she doesn't use, which I didn't know that. She was just sitting in her saddle without the belt, but
Yeah.
she uses that to secure Liam. And she's like, "Why did you just risk that?" And Liam said he risked it because she saved his life before, and now it's his turn. No matter what she thinks of Liam for keeping secrets, they are friends.
Of course. She's like, I
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
want to punch
Topper
you.
started crying.
Oh, Megan's crying. And I'm like, I'm gonna punch him in the face. No,
Okay.
she's like, I want to punch you in the face because you're annoying and lied to me, but I don't want you to die. Like, you're still my friend.
Yeah.
And also, I think she is strapped in on her thighs, but maybe the one around her belt is maybe not strapped in right now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like around
Yeah,
her.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
so Day, though, is in serious trouble, and Violet calls Zayden for backup, but he is taking on the venom at the walls. If he leaves, the civilians are all dead. So Taryn and Violet are on their own for this one. And
Mhm.
Taryn swings his tail into the wyvern, but it does not let go of Day. Another wyvern attacks, but Taryn doesn't give it a chance to fight. It rips it apart at its throat and lets it drop hundreds of feet.
He is on his way, but Violet knows that he will be too late.
Ugh.
Liam is shouting at Violet that they have to take out the riders. She says that they will, but Liam is trying to tell her that's the way.
They are back to catching up with Day and the wyvern.
Liam is screaming that Day is dying.
But they hit the ground. The wyvern limps away, but Day doesn't move. Oh, he's gone.
All right, let's see if I
R.I.P.
can get through this
R.I.P.
without crying.
You got this.
Taryn tells Violet that they only have minutes. Violet relays the message to Zayden that Day is gone and Liam is dying. Liam is trying to make it to Day, but he can't do it. Violet tries to help him get to his dragon, but she can't hold him on her own. Liam
Megan's crying.
Liam tells Violet at Parapet next year, she has to help his sister.
Oh.
Violet is just in disbelief because physically Liam is perfectly fine, but she is watching him slip away. Violet is crying for Taryn to tell her what to do, but he responds that there is nothing that she can do. Liam says they both know that he won't be there, and she has to promise to take care of Sloane, who is his sister. And Violet
Oh.
promises. Liam says he knows Violet feels betrayed, but Zayden needs her and not just alive. Zayden needs her, and please hear him out. And Violet says, okay. And then she thanks Liam. Sorry.
Oh. Wipe your tears, Megan.
This is so horrible.
I know.
She then thanks Liam for being her shadow and for being her friend, and Liam says that has been his honor. Like, it's just so
Oh, Liam, no.
okay. Zayden comes rushing towards them and he helps Liam get to Day, and Zayden says goodbye to Liam. I can't. I just
Oh.
literally can't.
At least he gets today. Zayden gets him today, and that's it. R.I.P. Liam. So sad.
I'm done with this book.
So once Liam is gone, Violet notices more wyvern are heading their way. They are targets on the ground. Zayden told Liam there was two riders with the wyvern, and Zayden needs to hold off the wyvern as long as possible, and Violet has to kill the venom. Zayden uses his shadows to hold them off as long as he can.
Yeah, Violet knows if she needs to wield that many times, she will die. But it's the best shot Zayden has to survive. Zayden kisses her forehead and says she can kill them, that there is no me without you.
There are dozens of wyvern and only one Violet, but she wants revenge for Liam. She strikes one wyvern with lightning, but then another one comes at them from the left, and Tarn roars in pain.
On to chapter 37. No words. Let's just keep going.
The epigraph for chapter 37 is: But it was the third brother who commanded the sky to surrender its great power, who finally vanquished his jealous sibling at a great and terrible price. This is from The Origin, The Fables of the Baron. So Violet can see the venom that killed Soleil, who lands on Terran's back. There was branch-like veins spreading from her red-ass eyes.
Hmm.
There were three more riderless ones, which Taryn tells him, which I'm assuming he's talking about the wyvern at this point, and they're on his tail.
Yeah, the Venom talks to Violet and says that she is small for a dragon rider. Violet says she's big enough to kill her, though. Taryn does
Mm-hmm.
not want Violet to get out of her seat, but Violet will not let the Venom kill Taryn.
Hell no.
Hell no.
So Violet, of course, gets right up out of her saddle and she's ready to fight the venom. She's thinking this is just a challenge with a not so fictitious dark wielder on the parapet, a moving flying parapet. But here we go.
Yeah, Taryn is yelling at Violet to get back into her seat, and Violet says that Taryn will not be able to shake this venom and that she will try to cut into Taryn again.
Yeah, so Violet blocks a downward thrust and hears her forearm bone snap. But she has no time to fret over it because the venom is coming at her with a green tipped dagger. It's like she's adapting to Violet's fighting style, countering every one of Violet's attacks with her own. And she is unnaturally quick. She stabs Violet, and the tip of the knife is no longer green. Violet loses her balance and her wound burns. Acid is running through her veins.
Taryn roars and Indarna shrieks, and Zayden is screaming her name. The Venom says, so much untapped power. That's why they were called here. That Violet could command the sky to surrender and all its power, and Violet doesn't even know what to do with it. She is going to split Violet open to see where all that lightning comes from. And I just want to pause and go back to that epigraph
Yep, I was thinking the same exact thing.
who says the third
Same
brother
words.
who commanded the sky to surrender its great power, who finally vanquished his jealous sibling at a great and terrible price. So I
Mhm.
think it's literally saying if Violet wants to end these venom, she's going to have to pay a terrible price in order to
Yeah.
do that,
Yeah.
which is obviously foreshadowing for the rest of the series.
Yeah. And it's also saying too, I think, that Violet is the key to killing the Venom
Yeah, for
because
sure.
she is the one that will command the sky.
Yeah.
So the Venom says, "You'll wish for death if I hand you over to my sage." Violet assumes the sage is like a teacher, and this Venom is a student, just like her. And Xaden tells Violet to level the playing field, and he casts his shadows on them. Violet's like, "Oh yeah, baby." She wields lightning, and the Venom becomes disoriented long enough for her to shove the dagger into her side, right where Xaden taught her. The Venom's face turns ash gray and then falls off Terrance's back.
Mhm.
Suddenly, the three riderless wyvern chasing them drop from the sky, and they all die because Violet killed one Venom. That's what Liam was trying to tell her. When
Mhm.
a dragon dies, a rider dies, but when a Venom dies, all the wyvern it creates dies. Violet knows that they have to take out the riders, but the Venom with the staff is about to attack Xaden. Sigale spits fire at it, but it literally does nothing, as we've learned countless amount of times just in this battle alone.
Mhm.
But I guess it's first nature to blast it with fire, so
Yeah.
I'll give it to
Well,
her.
she's pissed, like, that's her
Yeah.
rider, she's just gonna
Yeah.
blow fire at it.
Yeah. So Garrick flings a dagger at it, but it disappears into thin air. Not the dagger, the venom disappears into thin air.
Yeah.
Taryn says that a general can recognize a general, and that is their leader. So Violet is thinking at this point that this is the sage, I'm assuming. So they think the sage is the general.
Yeah. Or she just doesn't know what a sage actually is, so she's just assuming since this is the
Exactly.
leader of the Venom in this group that it must be a
Yeah.
sage.
Exactly, yeah. So Zayden is holding them back with his shadows, but he's telling Violet he can't hold on much longer.
Mhm.
Violet comes up with a new plan and tells Zayden to drop the shadows, and he just has to trust her. The shadows drop, and she tells Taryn to find the most powerful venom. That leaves one more for Zayden to kill, and all the wyvern will drop out of the sky.
Yeah, and Darna says so much suffering, and her voice jars Violet. Violet says it's not safe for her to be there, but Darna insists that Violet needs her.
And Violet slams her mental bonds shut so she can focus. And blue fire rises from the horde, but shadows snuff out the flames.
Taryn says that Violet will not be jumping onto the back of a wyvern, and she says she doesn't have to. The Venom told her that she can command the sky, but she will need every ounce of Taryn to do it. Taryn says she will burn out. She is already walking on the edge, but she says this is the only way to save them. She tells Taryn
Mhm.
he must decide to live even if she doesn't. But Terrence says he will not watch another rider die because they don't know their own limitations. One more strike could be her last. But Violet says she knows what she is capable of and she is not Naolan.
And Violet strikes her lightning again and again as Zayden smothers the flames. Violet, though, is on the verge of burning out.
Yeah, and Zayden is screaming through her mental barrier, and there's just so much fear in his voice.
Violet reaches for Indarna's power, though, and time freezes around them. She strikes her lightning and moves it in slow bursts that defy time. She's basically positioning it right over the venom, but she will only take what she needs because Indarna will live today, even if she's the only one. And Violet releases time and bullseye. More than half of the wyvern drop from the sky when she directly hits the venom with her lightning strike.
Mhm.
Zayden grabs the last venom with a shadow rope around its neck, yanking it off a wyvern and onto his dagger. And that was the last one, folks. For now.
And you know how I just said that she is not like Naolan and knows her limitations? Well, that bitch was a liar because now that she knows that they will all live, she lets gravity take her and she slides from Tyrion's back and Xaden screams as she falls.
But this could also be because of the green tip dagger. Maybe she didn't burn out
Hmm.
and push her limits, but I just want to give her the benefit of the doubt because
Okay.
I just thought about that because she's
Fine.
definitely poisoned.
Fine. So, chapter 38 is just the repercussions after this battle is finally over.
Yes.
And Violet is fighting for her life. So, let's see what happens.
So the epigraph for chapter 38 is: in the event that you come across a poison you do not recognize, it is best to treat it with any and every antidote. Either way, the patient will die, but at least you know you have learned something. And this is from Major Frederick's Modern Guide for Healers. And I remember reading this and being like, there's no fucking way she dies. I thought this was so foreshadowing that she was going to die. I'm like, it's book one. The main character dies? What?
I guess we'll move on to the next main character, the next
Yeah,
one.
literally. I was like, huh?
Well, it also doesn't help where the first line in the chapter is, "I think I might die today," which is
Yeah.
very far from her mantra, which is, "I will not die today."
Yeah.
She is falling from Taryn's back, and Taryn is diving for her and roaring in panic.
Violet can't hear Taryn in her head, and she can't feel her feet on the ground floor of the archives in her mind. She is completely cut off from her power. And Darna stops time as she tries to catch Violet in her free fall because she isn't strong enough to carry her. So she's done it twice
Twice
now
now.
in this short period of time.
Yeah.
When time starts up again, she is gathered close by strong human arms.
Yeah, Violet knows she is in Zayden's arms and she can hear the panic in his voice. Zayden knows that she has been poisoned and he tells her that she has to fight it.
So the green tip dagger was poisonous and it's paralyzing her physically and magically right now.
Okay, fine. She didn't burn out, but still, she
Yeah.
was an idiot. A smart,
She would have burned out.
yeah, smart, life saving idiot, but still. Zayden tells Violet that he will take care of her and that she has to live. But Violet just thinks he wants her to live because of his own life. But when she opens her eyes briefly, she sees the fear in his eyes and it jolts her heart before she loses consciousness.
Aw.
Then it's a little bit later because she's going in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
So she is a little bit coming to right now and she hears them talking about how it may not be poison and maybe it's some kind of magic, but the others keep talking about the lightning she wielded and Bodhi wants them all to stop. She saved all of their lives and she's clearly dying. Yeah, like
Yeah.
what Violet did was epic, but now is not the time to talk about it.
No. And Violet's blood is black at this point. Imogen suggests bringing her back to Nolan, but it's a 12-hour flight and she would be dead in 12 hours. But Zayden says that there is somewhere closer that they can take her.
Yeah, Zayden also thinks Violet's arm is broken, which we know it is.
Yeah. So Garrick says they will put everything at risk if they take her where Zayden wants. But what exactly would be at risk, Garrick?
Well, we already know that Zayden has more secrets that he promised to tell Violet if she
Mm-hmm.
lives.
Yes.
Taryn roars, and Imogen warns Garrick that he better not say that again, or Taryn will probably eat him.
Probably.
Zayden says that he doesn't care about himself or what happens to him. They are going, and that's an order. And Bodhi said there's no need for orders. They will
Yeah.
save Violet.
Yeah.
Zayden says that she has to live up to her nickname and fight this. She loses consciousness again, and when she wakes up again, they are in the air and they are near the cliffs of Drailer.
The poison is now slowing Violet's heartbeat, and she thinks of the irony of dying by poison.
Literally, the poison master herself.
Yeah. Imagine just feeling, though, that your heart is like stopping.
Oh, so
Scary.
scary. Yeah, she feels it's only a matter of time and her time is short. The group is still arguing over whether this is a good idea, and Zayden says when they have 107 scars on their back, then they can make the decisions.
Ooh, he's getting testy. He's
Mm.
like, shut the fuck up. We're going to do whatever we can until she's alive, and then we'll continue with our day.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Taryn tells Zayden he will cook him alive if he fails at saving Violet. So that part of the bond still works. He can still talk to Zayden.
Yeah. Violet feels Zayden brush a kiss over her forehead, but she thought that can't be right. You don't keep secrets from someone that you love, secrets that are about to cost her her life. Violet wishes Zayden would just let her die. She deserves it, and she is the reason Liam is dead. She didn't even
Aw.
realize Dane stole her memories.
She's literally dying and still feeling guilty.
Yeah. Zayden
Crazy.
just keeps telling her she has to fight. She can hate him all she wants if she lives, throw her daggers at him, yell at him, hit him, whatever when she wakes up. She has to live. She can't make him fall for her and then die. None of this is worth it without her. And Violet thinks he
Aw.
sounds sincere, but she still doesn't believe him.
Yeah.
Of course.
Understandable. Understandable at this moment.
Yeah. Violet hears a familiar voice call out to Zayden, but she can't place it. All she hears Xaden say is, "You have to save her."
Wild. A familiar voice indeed.
So we are at our last chapter of this book.
Wow.
How?
Wild. We're
Chapter
here.
39.
My
We
favorite book ever.
are getting this final chapter from Xaden's point of view, and it is just as epic as all these chapters have been. So here we
I
go.
know.
Here we go.
It's just like the icing on the cake that the last chapter is in Zayden's point of view, though. I love that.
Yes.
The epigraph for chapter 39, short and sweet. You're all cowards. The last words of Fen Ryerson, redacted.
Well, it's true.
It is true.
So, like I said, this chapter is from Xaden's point of view, and Sigale is trying to reassure Xaden that Violet is going to be all right.
Sigale chose Xaden because of the scars on his back. And we learned that he is the grandson of her second rider, the one who didn't make it through the quadrant.
So, did he have children before he went into the Riders Quadrant? Or did he
He
have a
must
baby
have.
while he was in the quadrant? Because
He must have,
he
yeah,
didn't
because he
make it
didn't live.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I
Mm.
want a backstory on that too.
Backstory queen over here.
Yeah. Violet has been asleep for 3 days. So it's been 3 days since the battle ended.
Mhm.
Xaden has been studying every rise and fall of her breath, and he is scared and feeling real fear.
Yeah, Zayden says Violet has never looked so fragile as she does now in the middle of his bed. But his bed where? Like, are we back at Bisgayeth? I was so confused on my first read. I'm like, huh? His
Yeah.
bed?
Yeah. Xaden feels like a fool. He should have left her at Biscayeth or sent her with Dane. Violet should never have suffered the punishment Colonel Atos set up for a crime she didn't know Xaden was committing. So they both love to blame themselves for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. They're
Xaden,
like, ugh.
yeah, because Xaden feels responsible as well for the death of
Mhm.
Liam. Taryn is yelling at him, saying that he should have told Violet about the venom, that he was waiting for him to tell her, and now she is suffering. Even though he's being yelled at, which he probably loves at this point because he feels like
Yeah.
he deserves it, he
Yeah.
knows that the connection to Taryn means that Violet is alive. Xaden is in his I should have done this phase, I should have done that phase,
Yeah.
especially with having Violet by his side, especially with feeling like he should have had Violet by his side since their first kiss. When he fell for her, they hadn't even have kissed yet, and he just felt like I could have had all this time with her and I
Yeah.
wasted it for what?
Yeah.
And he's just kicking himself because he couldn't even tell her that he loved her until she was literally dying from poison.
Literally.
But Violet finally wakes up and she's smiling at Xaden.
Zayden checks her side, and there is nothing but a silver scar under her bandages. The black, nasty blood is gone. It's a miracle.
Yeah. Violet
Hmm.
doesn't seem to be grasping the situation, but Xaden is telling her that he thought he was going to lose her and kisses her temple. Violet's like, "You're not going to lose me." And then she kisses him, and Xaden is like, like, this is great and all, but how
Hmm.
much do you remember? But then it all clicks in her head.
Yeah, and apparently Indarna is huge now?
Well, at
Interesting.
least she's alive.
She has grown. But Taryn does tell, I guess, Xaden, who informs Violet that she doesn't have her time stopping powers anymore.
Mm.
Xaden says the healer told him that he had never seen this type of poison before and doesn't know if there will be any lasting damage. But the healer? Question mark. They didn't go back to Bisgayet, so who is this healer? Violet is looking at her surroundings, and they are in Arisha. Xaden apparently worked his ass off rebuilding it. She notices the Temple of Amari besides the library, their most noted landmark.
Hmm.
Interessante. Xaden has a bed in Arisha, people.
Xaden says he's keeping his shield up because he wants to respect her privacy, but he really wants to know what she's thinking. Violet asks him where they are and not to lie to her again. And obviously, like Amanda just said, they are in the process of building Arisha.
So Violet remembers that Melgreen can't see the outcome of battles if there are more than 3 of the marked ones together. That's why they are not allowed to assemble. Xaden tells her that they don't attract the attention of the scribes anymore due to their size, and they aren't hidden but they don't advertise their existence. So she's basically just asking them now, how the fuck have they been getting away with this?
Yeah, Zayden is thinking his woman is fucking brilliant. Well, was his and will be his again if he has anything to say about it. He is not giving up until she tells him to.
That's right. So we learn here that Arisha is technically Zayden's. Nobles didn't want to pay for a scorched city, so he thinks they will eventually notice and he'll lose it and maybe lose his head.
Violet wants to know if Liam is really dead. They both feel responsible for his death, and he wishes he
Mhm.
told her sooner, and she could have schooled them all on how to kill the venom. Zayden hasn't left Violet's side even when they laid Liam to rest, but Violet just thinks it's because he has a vested interest in her survival. Like, no, bitch.
No.
Liam was his
Yeah.
brother, and
He
he
fucking
hasn't
missed
left
it.
your side, and he missed his burial to be by your
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, no. This
No.
isn't just about his survival at this point.
Yeah. Violet then kicks Zayden using his last name. She's like, Ryerson, get out of here so she can get ready, which is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, and we learn Garrick now has a new 6-inch scar across his face from temple to jaw.
That probably just makes him
Eeks.
hotter than he already is.
I know, for real. Bodhi thanks Amari when Zayden finally tells them that Violet is awake. It must be their god in Tyrandor, because we haven't heard this name yet.
Yeah.
His arm is fractured in 4 places from the battle.
Yeah.
Bodhi. So they're all fucking beat up.
Yeah. Zayden knows that Violet will have to choose. She will either keep their secret or she won't. Garrick says that Zayden will have to figure it out and then help her hide the secret from Dane. We
Mhm.
learn Serena is the flyer who was warning them and trying to get them
About
to
the venom.
leave,
Yeah,
is still alive, and so is her sister, but the rest of them didn't make it.
rough.
Yeah.
Garrick's dragon, Crod, is apparently remarkably sensible to runes and leads them to an iron box in the rubble at the clock tower. They are working on figuring out what this is. So I love that we're getting this information from Zayden's POV now. We would have never known that from Violet.
Yes.
Violet notices the castle is being rebuilt of stone, which doesn't burn
Mhm.
because, it was already scorched to the ground once. Zayden asks her if she's all in, if Violet will fight with them. And of course, she says, I'm in.
Yes. Violet says even though she's in, that doesn't mean she trusts him with her heart again, and she can't be with someone she can't trust.
Mhm.
Zayden said he has never lied to her, and he never will. Violet says it's the ease in which he withheld the information from her, how she let him into her heart without getting the same in return. Zayden says if he tells her that he loves her now, she will never believe him, and he's not going to lose the only woman he has ever loved without a fight. Zayden says he has secrets, and it took him a long time to trust her, to realize that he fell for her. He tells her even if she doesn't trust him anymore, she still loves him. Zayden says he is now trusting her with his life, with everyone's life. So that's a big deal. He
Yeah.
says he will tell her everything and earn her trust back. He forgot what it was like to be truly loved.
Yeah, and we get a mention here about Zayden's mom, and Zayden's like, nah, not going there.
Nah,
So,
not yet.
interessante.
Interessante indeed. Violet wants to know if it's not possible that he can earn her trust back. And
Yeah.
Zayden says she still loves him, so it is possible. He is not afraid of hard work, especially when he knows how sweet the rewards are. He would
Mm.
rather lose the war than live without Violet. He will
Aw.
prove himself. She gave him her heart and he's keeping it. So he's not giving it back.
Yeah. He's like, over my dead body.
Yeah, and Violet can see the resolution in his eyes that he means this and
Yeah, it's true.
he is telling the
He's
truth
saying.
about that.
Yeah.
And Violet will fight this war by his side. But now someone is impatiently knocking at the door. And Violet wants to know if they just happened to end up in the middle of a wyvern attack and they were actually sent for the war game. So she's like, this could not have happened. This had to have been a part of the war games. We did not get sent there to actually die.
But someone tells Violet that the Venom and Wyvern attack definitely wasn't an accident. And they say, little sister, Brennan, who is fucking alive, says, welcome to the revolution, Violet.
Brennan, that was
Chills.
I was shooketh
Shooketh.
when I read the last line of this book. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Every time I read the line, "Welcome to the Revolution, Violet," I get chills.
Oh my God.
Like, every single time. Also, I love that it's Brennan that mended her, too.
Yeah, you weren't
Like,
healed. You were
aw.
mended.
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my God.
Wild. Did not
Holy
fucking see that
shit.
coming.
So, some exciting news. We are adding in an episode before final thoughts. So, next week, we will be covering all the bonus chapters from Zayden's point of view.
I can't wait.
So, we're super excited about that. And then
Yes, it's chapters 9, 16, and 27. So if you haven't read them, find them and read them and join us next week.
yes. And then the week after that, we will be doing final thoughts for Fourth Wing.
Yes. So that's all we have for you today. Please let us know what you think by leaving us a review and comments on any of the platforms you are listening/watching on or on our social media pages. This helps tremendously to get the word out and lead more listeners to find our show and tune in.
Yes, don't forget to email, follow, subscribe, and rate us 5 stars and tell all your friends about us. And we hope the rest of your day is blissful. Bye!
Thank you so much for listening. Join us next week where we start part 6 of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, covering bonus chapters 9, 16, and 27. Happy reading!